we still think like that. We still think, well, of course they care about the stuff. This is, in football, what has happened in almost every other area of our lives, with us being too distracted or too dozy to notice. And the only reason this story is getting the coverage that it deserves, in my humble opinion, is because the people that own our newspapers don't have a piece of the action. If Murdoch had a piece of this action, it would be reported very, very, very differently from how it is now. And Murdoch's lackeys and foot soldiers in every corner of the British media would be blowing their trumpets for it and pretending to believe that it was actually a brilliant idea. So don't think of football. Think of a chain of fashion stores. Think of a chain of restaurants. Think of a steelworks in Port Talbot. Think of car manufacturing companies. Think of fishermen. Think of farmers. And then think what happens when venture capitalists and big money, big capital moves in, buys it up and tries to milk as much money out of that pre-existing organisation as they humanly can. This is what happens. We've probably got 2 days of being able to focus upon this decades-long ideological attack upon working and middle-class people by the richest people on the planet through the lens of football. This is what happens. You come in, you buy something, usually with borrowed money, you rip as much money out of the company as you possibly can, and all you are interested in is making more money. You find one of these geezers that's bought a big football club in Europe over the last few years and ask them what they'd rather have. Money in the bank or trophies in the cabinet. It's not either or, because, of course, there's a symbiosis between the two phenomena. They don't give a hoot about trophies in the cabinet. All they care about is money in the bank. And this is greed incarnate, this story. But it's greed that we've been groomed as a nation to see as, what do we call it, trickle-down economics? This is what it really looks like. What do we call it? Is this, oh yes, if you let business lead, then everything else will sort itself out. This is free market economics in its purest and clearest form. Let the business people, let the owners do whatever they want, and the laws of nature will ensure that the workers are all right. Except in this case, it's not the workers, it's the fans. Apart from that, the equation is absolutely crystal clear. You come in with a ton of money, much of it borrowed, you buy something from which you are determined to extract as much money as is humanly possible, and everybody else can go whistle. So where the football fan sits today, all of us have sat for the last 30 years. Give the power to the profiteers, which is, of course, the ideology of our current government, and indeed, in many ways, the absolute backdrop of Brexit. Give the power to the profiteers, and the great mystery of our time is how they manage to milk it to such a staggering degree without us either noticing or indeed caring. And you're absolutely right. Donald's picked me up on a simple problem, is that it's not, in most cases, it's not the people who founded the company who behave in the way that I describe. It's the ones who come in later and buy it, who subsequently milk it of all the money that's possibly available and waltz off to Belgravia. That's a very good point, Donald. You can see that happening left, right and centre. So 3 strands of information. Explain why this story is so important to somebody who doesn't know one end of a football pitch from the other. 0345 6060 973. Tell me why it's actually a good idea and everybody else in the country has got it completely backwards. 0345 6060 973. Or challenge my suggestion that this is the most perfect example we may ever see of how ordinary people get treated when incredibly rich people are given all the power. We're back to that quote, aren't we? About how the great project of right-wing politics in the 20th century is to persuade Labour with a small L, i.e. the people who do the work, to use their political freedom to keep capital, i.e. the richest people in the country, in power. And lest anyone think I'm a communist, when you espouse political ideas like mine, it doesn't mean that you're opposed to people being rich. It means that you're opposed to people being so rich that they wouldn't be able to spend every pound they've got in the bank if they lived to be 7,000,004, while other people are struggling to put food on their table and school children need help from Marcus Rashford to get fed during the school holidays.